Welcome back to another Family History Friday video with the Butler Area Public Library. I'm Margaret, and in this video we are going to talk about my top 5 tips for beginners. Number 1, start with what you already know. I always tell beginner researchers to start by documenting yourself, your parents, their siblings, your grandparents and their siblings, anything that you think you already know about your immediate family before taking that leap into doing research. It may seem overly simplistic, but it's really going to help you prevent mishaps because of identical names. And then it helps you focus your research and identify some goals. So it's a really big world of online and in-person genealogy research out there, and sometimes it's overwhelming. So by writing down what you know, that is going to identify what you don't know, and that's going to make some research goals for you. So for example, once you write down what you do know, you might discover that you want to know your grandmother's maiden name, that you don't know where your great-uncle Jeff is buried, that you want to know where the family farm was, or that you want to determine what year your great-great-grandfather Johann arrived in the United States. Number 2, narrow down your search fields. Ancestry has some built-in slider bars to help you narrow your search range. You can use these slider bars here in the top left corner of your results page to narrow down from broad to exact what Ancestry is filtering for you in your results. So here, if we're looking for someone named Martin Heim who lived in Butler, Pennsylvania, right now I have the lived in all the way on the broadest results, and you can see that there's more than 90,000 hits. But if I bring this over and I bring it all the way to Butler County and hit update, now you can see that we have just 110 search results matching that exact residence. And you can play around with that. I really like using county or county and adjacent counties if they might have moved a little bit or if boundaries changed early on in history. So play around with these search filters. You can also use them for the name to have exact spellings or more broad if that's a problem for you. And you can also use it for dates. So for example, if we're filling in a birth year here for Martin, we can do a slider bar either exact to this year or as broad as plus or minus 10 years on either side of that year. Number 3, check out the suggested records. Ancestry provides suggested records, which are hints to other things that might be relevant to what you're researching. And these are based on shared record information in the records themselves, so names, dates, locations, and keywords, and then also the records that are being saved by Ancestry users to their trees. So it's looking for patterns in these records. Suggested records will show up on the right-hand side of any record that you're looking at. So I'm looking at a 1900 census here, but if I scroll down, we can see this box on the right-hand side of suggested records. So these are potentially going to match our Martin Heim. They're going to be other census years, death record, a find a grave index, and city directory listings. And you can see that in this instance, there's multiple death certificates. What's going on here is it's going to be any death record that has the name Martin Heim on it. So that's not just the person who is deceased, but the parent names. So these are going to link us to some of Martin's children. You can also find these suggested record hints in the side panel on the right-hand side when you're in the image view here. And again, all of these are just going to be quick links out to records that most likely match the person I'm researching right now, and they're just going to speed up my research and help me find those connections faster. Number 4, save. So if you make a great discovery or you find something that's going to answer your question, make sure you save it so you know where you found the info and you can refer to it later. On Ancestry Library Edition, there's a few options for you. You can print, you can download, and you can use a feature called Send Home. When I'm here in image view, I have a couple of ways that I can keep a copy of this record for myself. The first is just to print it off. So if I hit the little tool right here, I can then hit print and send this to my printer. I can also save it by using the big green save button in the upper right corner. So the first option is save to this computer. That's just going to download a JPEG of this document, and I can save it. I can crop off some of this extra border, and I can print it later if I want. But what's really great is this send image home. So if I click that, I get this little pop-up that prompts me for an email address. And when I fill that in, it's going to send me a link via email to this record. When you've sent a record to yourself using the send home option, you will get an email that looks like this. Don't worry if you're sending yourself a lot of records, because you will only get one email in a day in a 24-hour period. And it gives you a link to your discoveries page. When I've clicked that View Discoveries link, that brings me to a page with everything I've ever sent home to myself while using Ancestry Library Edition. And it saves up to 300 records, so you can really send yourself a lot of stuff to print off at home or save later. And there's no date expiration on those, so you can see going back in here that I have things in my Discoveries folder all the way back to 2015. Number 5, write it down. Once you've started making these breakthroughs in your research, make sure that you're writing it down somehow. So whatever works best for you, everybody's brain works a little bit different and makes sense of things a little bit differently. So there's no one right answer for writing this down. I think the only wrong answer is not doing anything at all. So there are paper forms that you can use. There are various computer softwares and apps, some that are free and some that are paid, that you can use. And there are various online tree resources that you can use to collect your information and synthesize it into a tree. Charts like this, which is called a pedigree chart, will help you track just the direct ancestors from one person. So you might put yourself here at number 1, your parents' information here at the next level, your sets of grandparents for each side here, their parents, and so on and so forth. You can also use what's called a family group record to keep track of an immediate family. So here you would put a couple and then all of their children and the information about the spouses, where all of these people were born and died, and so you get a snapshot of an immediate family all together on one page of paper. And you can find downloadable copies of all kinds of charts like this on Ancestry Library Edition. Just look for the Charts and Forms link at the top of any page. If you want to make a family tree that's a little more interactive, that's when you'll want to look at software or online options. This is a screenshot from a family tree on Ancestry.com. That brings me to my bonus tip. Sign up for a free Ancestry account so you can use their tree builder. So the main difference between Ancestry.com and Ancestry Library Edition is that the Library Edition isn't personalized, so it doesn't have a family tree builder built in. But you can get around that by making a free account on Ancestry. So there's a link in the description. If you go to ancestry.com/account/create, you can sign up for a free Ancestry account. So there's no subscription fee, there's no money involved, but you have access to the tree options. And there you can build your family tree, you can have family members interconnected together, linked together. And when you're in there looking, you can actually attach records manually to these folks using this Upload Media button. So if you click Gallery on a person in your Ancestry.com family tree and hit Upload Media, that's where you can upload photos, you can upload scanned documents, and you can upload anything that you've downloaded while you're searching for free on Ancestry Library Edition through the Butler County Library System.